Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Reid. I was born in Dalwhinnie in Inverness-shire and now Strathspey. Feel free to ask questions about that change afterwards and I will unload my guns with you. I thought when independence came very close I was going to be asked to train some young and eager soldiers of Scotland's own. Recently I have been intimidated, called a Republican, by my ex-comrades, who obviously do not know me. I say this in my defence. I serve with you and cannot forgive any death of any single comrade or forces member by any terrorist or other warring party. Never mind any man, woman or child who has been killed by the same actions. I, Kenneth Mackay, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, her heirs and successors according to law, so help me God. This is a copy of the oath that I took at 15 when I joined the army. I believe that Her Majesty is a bigger credit to this great country of Scotland than one politician who seems to think that Her Majesty purrs. As veterans, we have witnessed shortages of kit, redundancies, loss of pensions, poor housing rights and civilian life, poor veterans care for all parties. That is why the SNP have a very able Veterans Minister in the MSP, Keith Brown. Workers should have rights, both human and working, and I believe some parties want to remove them. These rights do not seem to be beholden to the Labour Party any longer. I think that the Scottish National Party is doing better than any other when it comes to the rights of the common working people. That by supporting the living wage. David Cameron refused to take on Alex Salmond and will do the same to Nicola Sturgeon as sure as I stand here. If you are voting for Ruth Davidson or any other Conservative in Scotland in 2015, led by David Cameron or whoever is Westminster, will you be happy with that and the devolution that you get? If you are voting for Willie Rennie in Scotland, yes, exactly, or any other Liberal Democrat in 2015 led by Nick Clegg, or whoever is in Westminster, will you be happy with that and the devolution that you get? If you are voting for whoever is in charge of Labour in Scotland or any other Labour MP in Scotland in 2015, led by Ed Miliband, or whoever is in Westminster, will you be happy with that and the devolution that you get? Most of all, will all these politicians do a deal in coalition with others and be happy to do so? Certain politicians are looking at the parties that they already want. UKIP will be among them at that rate. I can hear people saying, we just voted no to independence, and that is all they were asked to do, no denying it. It was the lying leaders that changed the plans to bigger devolution, and that was not really on the ballot paper, and they haven't delivered and they won't. The next Scottish general election in 2015 has become a very serious democratic vote, the biggest I would say since the Second World War. If you're a no voter, you must engage with your politicians, buy into your parties and make them change, because if you do not, they will lose your vote and waste your vote along the way without giving you anything in return before or afterwards, like you have always done in the past. The Scottish National MPs I have found have been a joy to speak to. They have engaged at all levels. They have made us listen. They have listened to us. They have walked the streets. And they have knocked on doors. Most of all, they want us as much as we want them. The Scottish National Party will fight for everything that was promised by the Big Three on devolution, and equally the Scottish people will demand that too. If you're at a loss with your party and you have tried to speak to them but failed, then come along to many of the meetings that we have around the country and see what we do as a party. Who knows, you may be even pleasantly surprised by the unassuming and caring ways that we project. Finally, to all fellow veterans, I have this to say. I have watched the service since I joined in 1971 shrink considerably in size, had its regimental pride reduced, had allowances reduced, paid for some of their own meals. Yes, in this day and age they pay for some of their own meals, believe it or not. Redundancies were made at reduced costs. I've heard a sad case very recently of a veteran who left the army with £100,000 to buy a house and all the rest of it. And it's dwindled away. And he doesn't have a job. And he's had to sell his medals. Sad, sad case. The only thing that is good about it is the service people of this country are the best around the world without any doubt. I'm convinced by this veterans group. Just keep coming to our meetings and keep listening. There is no other group like this. Our fingers are on the politicians' pulses across all parties, and we are watching them too. Thank you all for listening.